Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Man, this stuff rocks.
Yo, this is Ryan of the Veer Union, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Check it out.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. And as always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome Ryan of the Veer Union. And the Veer Union has released their new single, Standing My Ground, off their upcoming album, The Butterfly Effect, out in 2022. Also, the Veer Union will be headlining the Rock Shop Records tour that is slated to kick off also later on in 2022. So hopefully all this comes to fruition. So Ryan, man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, John. How you doing both?
Doing great. Glad to have you guys finally on this podcast because I've been trying for a while.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm glad we connected this time, and yeah, looking forward to it, man.
So how excited are you guys to release this new single, Standing My Ground, right now, especially in all this crazy stuff that's going on?
Oh man, we were really excited to do it. I mean, it's been a 10-year process for us. I mean, Crispin and I, and Ricardo for that matter, all the guys in the band, we love metal. And Veer, when Veer got its start, it was more of a hard rock band. And so over the years, it's like we love rock, we love all different types of music, but we really wanted to make a more metalcore track. And it took some time to slowly introduce our fans into the direction we were going. And finally, this is the song that this is where we've wanted to be for quite some time. So yeah, man, we're super excited. It came out January 14th, and it's been the biggest release we've ever had. Like the response has just been unbelievable on Spotify. I mean, it's been unbelievable. So there was a little bit of nerves about it. But I mean, our at our core, this is exactly what we've been wanting to do. And so yeah, man, we're so excited. So it's just so cool that our fans and new fans are all like, this is awesome. So very fortunate and grateful.
Yeah, I'm going to say this right now. I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask anyway, because when you said you guys want to go into a different direction, but slightly move everybody into that direction, that's good. You guys did that. But would you say Standing My Ground is the heaviest track that this band has released so far?
So far, yes. I would say, we've had we've had quite a few heavier songs in the past. I guess what is really making the difference is just finally being able to, Crispin just be able to scream as much as, to have the scream as predominant as it is. So, we love metalcore, we love metal bands, we love all that stuff. And, one of the things where it's exciting for us is because coming from a very melody and harmony driven band, it's like get all those metal parts and then, with the huge melodic chorus. So yeah, man, we're really happy. So.
What were you guys looking for specifically in this song when you guys were creating it? What was it about this song that said, this is going to be the song that's going to be the heavier one? Did this just come about? Was it just like lightning in a bottle and you just ran with it? Or what exactly sparked it?
Well, I guess, I mean, really, it's just right when we started cracking into it. I guess there was, as it was unfolding, we all just kind of looked at each other and we were like, we could feel this be like, oh yeah, this is where the scream's going. This is where this, and it actually on the forthcoming album, this is the song that we spent the least amount of time writing. It was the last song that came. Well, that's actually not true. It was the second last song that came together, and it came together really fast. And it was one of those songs where all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, we got this, and this, and then within a week it was pretty much done, and we just sat back and we were like, isn't it funny how there's always surprises on every record, varying degrees of surprises, but this one was it just kind of came to fruition really fast, and yeah, it was just it was kind of one of those I don't want to say magical because that sounds really egotistical. It's not that it was magical, it's just it came together so naturally that some songs you really have to work really hard to complete, and they take you down this rabbit hole that leads to another rabbit hole that leads to another rabbit hole. And this one was just like, it just was like, poof, there it is. So that was awesome.
How many songs is written for this album at this time? And are you guys close to completing this album, or are you guys actually still working on singles?
Oh, wow. Now, we haven't really talked about this publicly yet, but the album, we've got probably 10 songs written for it that are done. Not sure exactly how many songs are going to be on it. We'll figure that out over the next probably couple weeks, but all I can say is when the album is coming out is soon. So yeah.
I got you. No problem.
Yeah, we do have a tour coming up, and I'll leave it at that. So yeah.
All right, man. So were these songs already written like during the pandemic, or was this pre-pandemic?
Well, to be honest, the way that it started was like in 2019, we got off the road. We just got off Decade 2, our last original record. It went really well for us, and we were a bit burned. So, we wanted to take a bit of the summer to do some motorcycle riding and stuff. And then, as we were on tour, we were talking about, writing the next record, but we were also talking about doing a cover record because it was something we had never done. So we started working on the cover record. And then as the cover record came out at Christmas time of 2019. And as we were building into that cover record, we were, working on ideas, working on new songs. And then prior to that cover record coming out in Christmas of 2019, we definitely had some songs, but January 1st was like, that was really when we kicked it into overdrive, and that was pre-pandemic. So we had, we were planning on going to Europe in the fall. We were planning on doing an American tour. We know that we wanted to do a collaborations record because, we're always trying to, you always want to do something that you haven't done as an artist, you
Sure.
want to do that. And so we were working on that. And then as we were working on the first song, Slaves to the System, then the pandemic hit, and then the riots hit, and then, everything was kind of like on hold. Nobody was releasing anything. And, now we're an independent, Crispin and I own Rock Shop Records, our own label. We've got a couple bands on it, but, we were like, we're putting this out on our own. And essentially it was like, nobody's putting out anything, but we're like, okay, well, nobody's doing anything. We have to carry on. So we put out Slaves to the System, and then the rest of the songs, they just, started coming out. And then what was it? December 17th of last year, the full album came out. So yeah, but as that was happening, there was so much time without tour that as we're working on these collaborations, more songs were coming. And then we're just like, oh, but this song, but we're working on this. We know we want to do this with this person. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I guess we're going to start banking songs for the next record. And then more and more and more. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, like we're going to have enough material to put out another record. So yeah, it's actually, the pandemic's been terrible. It's been terrible for everyone around the world. It's had an incredibly devastating effect But if I am to look at the pro within the con, the pro is that, we just really dug in and wrote 2 records. And I never would have thought this was going to happen pre-pandemic, but there's a lot of things that most people thought would never happen pre-pandemic, and here we are.
So has this, during the time, man, did you see the band's creativity come together quicker and to work on these songs, say prior to the pandemic?
Did it come together quicker, like once the pandemic? Well, I'll just talk about our band. And some songs come together really fast, and other songs are a little bit more labor intensive. And there were some songs that came together quickly. Standing My Ground probably came together the quickest out of all the songs, but out of all the batch of what was going on during the lockdown. But yeah, some came together quick, but oftentimes, we have this way of going down this rabbit hole, and you get a chorus, and then you work on the verse, and then you're like, oh, well, the verse could be better, and then the verse starts getting better and better, and then it's like, well, now the chorus isn't hitting, and so on and so forth. So some took a lot longer, some went reasonably quickly, and some went very quickly. So
it's like we talked before the actual interview here. I said, you guys took well advantage of the streaming and everything during all this. And I think that some of the bands who didn't take advantage of this really missed out, because everybody was looking for something to watch or stream, something on the internet, like Twitch or YouTube or something. But you guys released the covers collection, volume 1. Were you surprised that your version of, and I hope I pronounced this right, Halsey's Nightmare exploded on YouTube and reached 1 million views in the first 30 days, Ryan?
Yeah, no, it was exciting. I mean,
yeah,
when we were working on that covers record, Crispin and I, we definitely have our favorite bands, like growing up, and there's all the older bands that we wanted to cover and pay tribute to. But then when we were looking for something newer, Halsey kind of came across, and we were like, man, this track could be really awesome. And then we started working on it, and it was coming out well, but there's always this aspect of when you're working for us, we work on songs. When we work on them, they start from usually an acoustic guitar and a chorus, and the way that it was coming out was all sounding great, but until you actually put it down to and actually record it, you're guessing. And then once we got it recorded and the screams weren't on it, we were like, is this going to turn out the way that we envisioned it? And then luckily it did. And it was a bit stressful for a bit, but then it came out, and we were like, yeah, the response was incredible. So we're just very, very thankful to our fans, very grateful, and the fact that it struck a chord and we made a shit ton of new fans. So, we were definitely grateful for that one.
And this is another cool thing about you guys. On December 17th of 2021, Quarantine Collaborations was released in its entirety. And within the 3rd week of release, it surpassed the 8.5 million stream mark.
Yeah, no, it went really well, and it was a different animal working on a quarantine album, collaborations album. It was something that, because when you're working within the confines of your own band, you're used to things going a certain way, and as you bring in other people, it makes for a completely different dynamic. But it was a great experience. We had a lot of fun, and it was great working with the bands that we worked with on the album. So yeah.
I want to go back here just a little bit on this new album here. Are there any songs that were left off any previous albums that are being put on this one?
On this new one that's coming out?
Yes, the Butterfly Effect.
No, they're all new songs. They're all new songs. It's like oftentimes you get into a scenario where you have the song bank and you start banking songs, but with quarantine collaborations, there was quite a bit of material on that. And then while working on this new record, by the time we got to that, it was all new. So it was really exciting. So yeah.
As a guitarist, man, do you do anything differently to try and stay fresh and open-minded when you're creating new riffs or solos for any of these songs? Because I know it has to, be like mundane all the time, the same old. But what do you do to help yourself to stay open? Because I know some folks, they don't even listen to the same music that the band is, metal, whatever. They go outside of to get inspiration.
Yeah, and to be honest, that would probably be the biggest thing that I try to do. I always try to look outside the genre that I'm in, because rock and metal, obviously those are my two favorite genres, or potentially one genre, depending on how you want to view it, even though they clearly are different and there's many subsects within it. But it's there's so many bands now, and having creating recordings has become so much easier than it once was. So things can get, we live in a world where there's so much content, everything's so saturated. So at the end of the day, we're a rock and metal band, so like we're not sitting here trying to reinvent the wheel. Everything's essentially been done. But what we try to do is have a broad palette when it comes to music, and then just try to pull from all the best of the best.
Do you think, though, the streaming with all of this has helped bands, or do you think, just like you mentioned, it's is it too oversaturated now? Is it just too hard for bands trying to get out there now?
Well, I guess really what it boils down to is that it is an absolutely incredible time right now. And if you're an independent band and you have quality content and you have a lot of content, the days of the MTV lifestyle for people in bands, it doesn't exist.
No,
it does for a very, very, very select few, but it is an absolutely incredible time. And I wouldn't want to be a new band in today's day and age. Being a brand new band starting from scratch, it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult. But streaming has definitely changed many people's lives. And yeah, man, for us, once the streaming services really started taking over, our lives got so much better, to be honest. So yeah.
With all the content that you guys have stored in your music library, man, has there ever been a song that you can remember that changed many times during its infancy to its adulthood? That ended up sounding totally different than it was intended to when it was brought to the table.
Oh, for sure. Name the record, man, and I can name you a song. Oftentimes, like we touched on a bit before, it's like usually it starts with the chorus and we go from there, and then a verse idea will happen. And one of the things we really try to do is we always, when we're working on something, it's your instant reaction, and we try our best to not become emotionally attached to what we're doing. So I know Crispin's very, very good at writing, okay, here's a verse, I've got 6 different ideas, so at the end of the day, yeah.
Is there a song that you would like to incorporate into the set list that's not ever been played before, possibly?
At this point, we have so many songs, we can never play them all. Really, we've never played Nightmare live, because obviously with the pandemic happening in 2020 and that record coming out in December, of 2019. We'll definitely be playing that song. We'll be playing a song or two off Quarantine Collaborations, and then we're going to be playing a couple songs off this new record that's yet to come out. So we got to start rehearsals right away. So we're like literally trying to figure this out now. So yeah.
Nothing like the last minute.
Oh, yeah. That's ain't that the truth, man? Ain't that the truth?
What does the Veer Union, Ryan, still bring to the table for music, man, that other bands might not possibly, if anything?
Well, I mean, there's so many great bands, and anyone that's pouring out their heart and soul into music, like, we respect. So I guess at the end of the day, I'm not going to say maybe what's different than us from other bands, but what I can say is that the Veer Union, our message has always been about hope. And, you know, everything that's happening in the world, you know, people are scared, people are angry, people are a combination of the two. There's totally different emotions happening everywhere. But, you know, as crazy as this time is, because it is crazy, we recognize it's crazy. And I guess with this record moving forward, we really, Quarantine Collaborations, we got maybe a little further away from what would be traditionally the message in our music. Mm-hmm. And on this record, you know, I know when we were working on it, we were sitting down, we were chatting about it, and Crispin was like, yeah, man, I really would like to, this new EP, new record, to get back to more of the foundation that is the band, which is hope. And, you know, it was cool on Quarantine Collaborations. It was great. But it feels like right now, especially with all the madness, all the division, all the uncertainty, all the, you know what I'm talking about. It's the world definitely needs more hope. And, you know, so for ourselves, we always write for ourselves. Really, it's like, we write songs that make us happy, because once you've been doing it this long, if you're not doing it because you love to do it, then why are you doing it, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, really, we were just like, the world is fucked, everything's insane, and what do we need right now? We need hope. So, you know, I think this record, there is going to be a super positive message. There'll be all the anger. It'll be heavier and more badass than ever, but that message of hope and really, you know, because regardless of race, color, creed, or political affiliation, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, we're all in this together, man, you know, and we all have way more in common than what we don't have in common. And somehow over the last, I mean, there's always been the tribalism and the division, but over the last probably 2 or 3 years especially, it's just gotten to the next level insanity of constant negativity and constant drain and constant, well, this group and this group and this group and this group. Like, dude, in Veer, it's like Crispin's he's black, he's from the Cayman Islands. I'm white, I'm like a prairie boy. Ricardo is from Mexico. And at the end of the day, like, we are all from very different worlds. We're all here in the same place. And, like, you know, differences, everyone's different, man. And that should be celebrated. That shouldn't be like, we're not different, we're blah, blah, blah. Like, at the end of the day, man, we're all different. And that's what makes the world an amazing place. And if everything becomes so homogenous where everyone's the same, it's like, that's crazy. Like, that's not fun. That's not a world that, you know what I mean? So, like, at the end of the day, man, I don't want to get away from the question that you asked, but at the end of the day, it's about hope, it's about unity, and we're really, really trying to bring a positive message moving forward. And yeah, even though it's mental, and we know it's mental, but yeah, just a bit more hope, you know.
What's the growth that you see from album to album, and even on this album, that impresses you the most about this band?
What impresses me the most about my own band?
Yeah.
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot. I mean, dude, honestly, what impresses me the most about my own band, forget about the music. It's the guys in my band, the fact that, we've been doing this a long time, the fact that this is what we love. It's like our lifestyle, there's not much I can't really think of something that I would want to be doing more right now, this is what it is. And I guess what it is, if I was to say something that I'm happy about, is that usually when bands are together a long time, they seem to predictably start going, okay, we're going to get a little bit lighter, and we're going to focus more on the singer-songwriter aspect of things, and we're going to try to grow our overall demographic, which is totally respectable, totally fair. I totally get it. But the one thing that we've been doing is, especially too, you look at Bring Me the Horizon, Asking Alexandria, bands like that. The bands, when those bands came out, we're all like, we love this stuff, even though we play in more of a hard rock band. And I guess what it is that more bands seem to be getting lighter, and we're doing the opposite. We're going against the grain, pardon the pun. Our first record was called Against the Grain. So not trying to be tacky, but I guess what it is that, I've always been a fan of, and we've always been a fan of, zigging when other people are zagging, and, I think doing what your heart tells you, as long as you're coming from a pure place and doing something with good intention, but doing something that you want to do, that you generally want to do. I mean, yeah, man, that's what I'm most happy about, because at this point, I'm more excited. Every time we make a new record, I'm more excited to release that record. Obviously, as we get older and as time starts running out, you get more scared as you take bigger risks. You're like, oh shit, is this going to go well or is it not? But to be in a spot where it's like the band is getting heavier and heavier, and I think so many people, just in general, when you're looking at music, when you're looking at bands, when you're looking at artists, just because a band or an artist has made a name off a particular sound, it's not necessarily what that artist would absolutely wish they were doing, but you find success in something, you love it, and you also have to acknowledge where your bread is buttered. You know what I mean? And I think since 2012, 2013, the industry, you had the let's say, for lack of a better term, the more traditional bands like Seether, Nickelback, all of those bands. And then you had the new blood of Asking Alexandria, Bring Me the Horizon, bands like that. And it's been going like this, meeting in the middle. And now people's taste, people's ability to digestibility, whereas it's like, oh my gosh, I always loved melody and the screaming, just screaming. He's screaming in a leather jacket. He's screaming his head off. It's just all it is screaming. But over time, this amazing thing has happened. And as rock becomes more and more obscure and more niche, it's like the rules, rather than being like this, have gotten like this. So that's cool, man. And I'm just excited to be making music with my best friends and making stuff that most people would think we're going to go a certain way, and we're like, fuck that, we're going this way. and yeah, man. So
I know that you mentioned that you want people to take hope away from your songs and stuff like that, but
yeah,
what's it mean to you though when someone tells you that your guys' music saved their life, or it gave them inspiration, and they took a song that was totally in a different vein, but they use that as their inspiration, man? Well, as an artist, for you especially, what's that mean to you?
Well, I mean, really, if I'm to be completely honest, when I don't think there is a greater compliment that you can receive as an artist when someone's like, hey, your music saved my life. Like, I mean, you know, we get those messages all the time, and we always do our very best to get back to everyone. And you know, it's funny because we're all the same. We really are all the same. I play in a band. Crispin and Ricardo are a part of this band. You are a music reporter, podcaster. You do what you do. You do what you do. And really, everyone's just doing their life. And everyone's just doing what they do. The difference becomes the perception, right? And so when you're making music / art for a living in a time where intellectual property is worth very little compared to what it once used to be, you're either doing it because you love it, or you're doing it for the chicks or the drugs, because you're not doing it for the money. And when someone says like, hey, your band saved my life, like, you know, I can't think of, it's humbling, because, you know, I'm just, at the end of the day, our lives are just, we're just doing what we do. And like, when someone connects with you like that, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, in some ways you don't know what to say other than thank you. And people will be like, oh my God, it's like you wrote this song for me. And it's just like at the end of the day, it's like, we all have so much in common. And, you know, I'm just going about my life, just like the guys in my band are going about their lives, just like you're going about your life, and everyone's just going about your life. And when you realize that you're just that one person, and you put all the shit aside, you realize in general, regardless of creed, color, class, voter preference, we're all so similar. You know, we have so much more in common than what we don't. So when someone says that, it's like, it's kind of humbling. It's like, wow, that's amazing.
You know, music saved my life when I was younger. I was 18 when that ordeal happened. And later on, you know, I said, if I ever had a chance to do something with music to help somebody else out, I was going to do it. And lo and behold, I'm a podcaster now.
Yeah, dude. No, and that's amazing, you know. And it's just like, that's one thing, you know, as crazy as the world has become, because it's batshit mental, dude. Like, it is ridiculous now. But what is amazing is that, you know, like, I'm sitting at my house, you're sitting at your house, we're doing this podcast, and like literally, like, you know, 10, 15 years, 20 years, well, maybe not 10, but, you know, 15, 20 years ago, this couldn't be happening. And the world is changing so rapidly. It's evolving so fast that some days I feel like it's evolving so fast we don't even recognize how fast it's happening. It's like watching yourself age in a mirror. It's like you don't recognize it because it's happening so fast. But you know, as tough as things are, and as crazy as things they are, it still is an amazing time. And hopefully, you know, I think the more people can realize, the more they have in common. And like, I don't care where you were born, what country you live in, what type of music you like. People in general have way more in common than not. You know what I mean? Sure. There's fundamental values, like values are what sets different groups away from others. But, you know, most people are just are good people, you know. And it would just be so nice to see people just people realize that we're all just people. And that's one of the things that's really hard about the pandemic too, you know, the masks, the isolation. It really has a terribly dehumanizing effect.
Yes,
you know,
very.
And And that's not projected being like, this person is bad or this person. I'm just saying, it's like when you don't have social interaction, then when you do, and all you can see are the eyes, it's like,
Yeah.
And, but you know what? I think, people, as crazy as the world is, I think this last year, 2021 was even harder than 2020 for most people. Well, I shouldn't say for most people. I'll speak for myself. And, but it's, I feel like people are becoming more united at this point now, this time this year, than they were last year. Even though there's crazy division, don't get me wrong. But anyway, I digress.
I know that you have a lot of music, man, in your vocabulary. I know you do, but do you still have a go-to album or song that you find yourself going back to and listening to from time to time that you just can't kick out, man? You've got to have it. You got to listen.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you're asking like the more new school of bands, like I always, every couple months, I will always end up going back to Sempiternal by Bring Me the Horizon. I'll always go back to Trauma by I Prevail. That first Nothing More record, I go back to that as well. And but if I'm kicking it old school, Faith No More. I love Faith No More. Always, every couple months, man, I'll be like Faith No More. It'll come on in my playlist and then I'll go on a tear. But yeah, man, Faith No More. Love that. That's probably one of my all-time favorite bands. So,
what has been your best musical moment that you still can't believe you or this band were a part of, or maybe worked with, possibly?
Oh my God. What would be? I mean, there's been a bunch of times where you sit back and you're in the moment and you're like, you have a job to do and you're a professional, so you do your job. But oh man, oh my God, I couldn't even bring it down to one time. I mean, dude, we've been so fortunate. We're so lucky, and I mean, dude, just so grateful. So I can't put it down to one moment, but there's been several. So
doing the podcast right now with me, best time.
Yeah, no, I'm having a great time. So
all right, man. When can we expect this new album, The Butterfly Effect? Are we gonna get an early release, late release? What's going on? Maybe if you have a general idea.
Well, I would say probably in the first half of the year. Now that could be summer, it could be spring, but all I can say for sure is soon.
How could folks stay in touch with you guys? Buy this new single that you guys have out, Standing My Ground, and this new album, EP, whatever you're putting out, and just to stay in touch with you all? How can they do that, Ron?
Well, I mean, you can go to the usual, whether it's, Instagram, Facebook. We have a TikTok now. Please hit us up follow us on there. But also, follow us on Spotify. But we're on social media. We answer our own social media. Some days it's faster than others, but we genuinely make an honest effort to get back to everyone because we're just lucky to be in the spot that we're in. So yeah, send us a message, and if we don't get back to you right away, we will. And if we don't get back to you and you're like, where are they? Just hit us up again and we'll get back. and then also on the veerunion.com as well.
And before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Absolutely. Yo, this is Ryan of the Veer Union, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Check it out.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link. And please subscribe to our YouTube link because I need the subs, folks. Come on. Please. I'll beg. I'll eat a sandwich and put my shirt off. I don't care. Just please follow me. Also, get out and check out the Veer Union. Check out their new single, Standing My Ground, off their upcoming album, The Butterfly Effect. I'm telling you right now, folks, give this band a fair shot. They are one badass band. I'm not saying that just because Ryan's on here. I really dig their music, and I think you'll find something in their category that you will like. Trust me. Ryman, man, thank you for the interview, and you always have support from me, and welcome on here anytime you guys need anything.
Thank you, John. Really appreciate the time. Wish you all the best to you and your family in the new year, as well as the podcast.
You too, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care, brother.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.